Boynton.
Everyone, welcome to our work session of the Bedford City School District Board meeting. It is January 21st, and we welcome you to our work session. Could you please read for us, Mr. Stevens?
Thank you. Due to the passage of House Bill 197 in the response of the COVID-19 public health crisis and the governor's order prohibiting mass gatherings, the Board of Education meeting work session will be virtual. You may view by internet live stream, http://board.bedfordschools.org or Spectrum Cable TV, channel 1025. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stevens. And now can we have the roll call, please?
Mrs. Boynton,
Here.
Mr. Kennedy,
Here.
Mrs. Patterson is still not here. Mr. Stevens
Here.
and Mr. Tench.
Here.
Okay, thank you. And now can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? And I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll go right to the agenda, and we will now hear, we'll have awards of presentation and communication, And we'll go directly to 2.01, and we will have board appreciation.
Okay. Thank you, Mrs. Boynton. Appreciate you getting us started there. As many of you are aware, this is Board Appreciation Month. And unfortunately, because of the circumstances we are faced with COVID, we are not able to honor you the way that we typically do, which you would have students in front of you, we'd have the band playing, we'd have refreshments and some proclamations and some fun stuff. And because we are bound to virtual means, we do have a presentation that we put together for you. And I would like to thank Dan, who compiled it and put it, actually did all the behind the scenes stuff. And Beth helped organize with the principals and administrators to get everybody together to send some messages your way. In addition to that, you will have a special delivery coming to your homes in the next couple of days. So be on the lookout. It's just a small token of my appreciation and on behalf of the district for all you do. I know that this has been a very, very difficult year for all of us. And you have been faced, as I have as well, together. We've had to make some very difficult decisions, and none of this has gotten easier. And I do appreciate the courage and all the thoughtfulness that has gone into this past year. And many of you who have served for many, many years on the board, it's a great sacrifice that you all have made for the children and our stakeholders in our district. So on behalf of the district and as superintendent, and just a special thank you to all of you and your support and everything you've done. So with that, we are going to have a 7-minute presentation. Thank you.
Greetings, esteemed members of the Bedford Board of Education. I would like to take this time to congratulate President Barbara Patterson and Vice President Eva Boynton. I would also like to say thank you. As a second-year principal at Glendale, you all have been very supportive and very encouraging of everything that we do here at Glendale. We appreciate you so much, especially with the tough decisions you have had to make since March of last year. Again, I just want to thank you, and I look forward to working with you for many years to come.
To the Bedford Board of Education, thank you for all that you do for the students of Bedford City School District.
Good afternoon, board members. This is Chris Thompson over at Bedford High School. Just want to take a minute to thank you guys for all that you do for students, staff, the community here at Bedford. You guys have a tough job, and I don't think that everyone knows how tough it is, but you guys are the ones that we go to for those tough decisions. So thank you again for all that you do. Know that you are greatly appreciated and respected.
Big ups and a big thank you, Bedford Board of Education, for inspiring our scholars and teachers every day to achieve excellence.
Hello, board members. This is Mr. Harrison at the high school. Just want to take a couple seconds to thank you for all your hard work, everything that you do to support our students, and also the support and guidance that you give our administrators and staff. Please know that it does not go unnoticed, and we appreciate everything you do for us and our entire district. So thank you.
I just want to thank you, board members, for all of your support for our preschool program. Providing early intervention is extremely important. So on behalf of the preschool team at Glendale, we just want to let you know how much we appreciate you and having the opportunity to work with Bedford City School District's youngest students.
Hola, me llamo Señor Martin. Gracias muchísimo por todo su apoyo. My name is Mr. Martin, and thank you so much for all the support you guys give us. It's really appreciated.
Thank you, board members, for your support in extending opportunities for our students to explore extracurricular interests such as garden club, culture kids, and student leaders.
Hi, good afternoon. Of course, you know that I'm Carla Robinson from the high school. I just wanted to take this time to thank you all. You are wonderful to us as a set of board members. We couldn't do what we do without you. We totally appreciate everything that you do to help us out and support us when we need you. You're part of our community, and Bedford City School District has an excellent community of parents, students, families, community. Just thank you so much for always being there for us and taking care of us.
Thank you, Bedford Board of Education, for all of your support, especially during these unprecedented times.
Hello, I'm Selena Nara. I'm a high school English teacher here at Bedford High School, and I wanted to say thank you for everything that you do for us on behalf of the staff and teachers and students at Bedford High School. Thank you.
I'd like to thank the board for the support of the teachers and the students for providing the resources and the counselors for our social emotional learning classes. A lifelong benefit. Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Katrina Bahari. I'm Kim Gura. Thanks for all you do.
Hello, board members. This is Mike Jaimo at Bedford High School. Hopefully everyone's doing okay and staying safe. I just wanted to express my thanks for everyone to put in such a detailed, safe plan for us staff, but not only for us, but for our students coming in as well. So we just want to say thank you, and we appreciate you, and we appreciate all that you've done in the last couple weeks and last couple months as well. Thank you.
To all of our Board of Education members, I want to say thank you very much for the work you do. I want to sincerely say that I appreciate it. I've worked in several school districts, and you can really feel a difference when you know that the leadership cares, and the work that you do reflects that you truly do care about our students, and it makes a big difference. Thank you, and please keep up the good work.
Hello, from Heskett Middle School. This is Kim Sterlikar,
Crystal Brooks,
and Bob Rutkowski.
And we just wanted to wish you a happy Board Appreciation Month. We also want to wish you a Happy New Year. So thank you again for all of your support and everything you do.
Thanks for all you do.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Greetings, Bedford Board of Education. Thank you for all that you do. Continue to roar through your decisions.
Thank you, Board, for all of your hard work. Enjoy this month that is dedicated to each of you.
Happy Board Appreciation Week. This year has been interesting to say the least. So on behalf of Central School, I just want to say thank you for all the hard work that you do.
Hi, President Patterson and members of the board. Happy Appreciation Month. This 2020-2021 school year has been like no other, right? And you will remember it always. Know that you have done the best you can with what you have and making the best decisions for students and staff. And I say thank you. Stay encouraged. We appreciate everything that you have done and will continue to do. Bye.
That was real nice.
Yes, thank you.
That was really nice.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. It's a small token, but you can see a lot of people participated and loved doing so. And so you will have a link to that. I know that the video was off a little bit, so if you care to watch it again, you'll have that link and access to it. So again, thank you. We do appreciate everything. Mrs. Boynton or Mrs. Patterson, I see has arrived. So would you, Mrs. Patterson, would you like me to continue? Or I don't know if anyone wanted any comments or, okay.
Anybody need to make any comments about the presentation?
Very nice, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was very, very nice.
Yeah, we've had Mrs. Patterson and I, and even Phil have had the opportunity to have many board appreciation presentations, and I got to tell you, I liked that one. I really did. That was very special in these trying times, and that was nice. So thank you to Dan and all that put it together.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank them to also the students, those, those are the good ones, the students, but the principals and all, that was very, 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 very nice.
And I would like to say thank you to everyone. And just as you showed your appreciation for us, we definitely appreciate you and all your hard work too. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's made it extra special to hear from the staff as well. That brought everyone together. So once again, thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right. Dr. Selico, go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so next we have not quite as not quite as cute. No offense there, Miss Lori McClung over there, but it's hard to top those cute little kids. So you have your work cut out for you in this presentation. But this evening, what I'd like to present to you is a strategic plan update. I know that we've been talking about this for quite some time. Seems like it's probably a little bit less than a year ago that I reached out to Advocacy and Communications Solutions and began a partnership with them. And due to COVID, clearly it has taken us longer than we had anticipated or wanted it to, but it did definitely throw a wrench into our time frame that we had initially established for having a strategic plan. But we are in really good shape. We have a nice presentation to give to you this evening on what we've done, and we are ready to start into our next phase of strategic planning, which is sharing with the community and implementing it shortly after. So what I'd like to do is introduce you this evening. We have Lori McClung and Scarlett Boulder, I believe, are here, as well as Cassie. And you can see they all three have something in common, which is they are all ladies who are owners and co-owners of this organization, this business. So they've been working with us, and they are going to give you a presentation on what we have put together thus far. So Lori, I'm not sure if you're taking the lead or who will be starting, but Dan, if you want to get the presentation ready, or no, I think it's Lori. Lori?
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep, there you are.
Awesome. Okay, so Cassie's actually going to run the slides. So Dan, hopefully that can happen.
All right.
And there is absolutely no way I can top the kids. I'll just say that out loud. I know that. So just give me some space. I'll do the best I can. But those kids, it just always brings a tear to my eyes. It's when Scarlett and I worked at the Cleveland School District, one of my favorite things was going to actually meet with the kids every week. And it's just the best. So thank you again for having us this evening. Again, I am Lori McClung. I'm CEO and co-founder of Advocacy and Communication Solutions. And with me, we do have Scarlett Bowder, who is also a co-founder and president of ACS, as we call ourselves, and Cassie Gaffney, who is one of our longest employees and our senior strategist. So the three of us have been your team working with your Bedford team to develop the strategic plan. So just for a moment, I will walk through very quickly who we are. Just as a reminder, we did get a chance to talk to all of you late last spring and the beginning of the summer. As you know, we are headquartered here in Cleveland, and we are a national consulting firm that works on issues around early childhood, K-12 education, health and human services, Medicaid, and workforce development. So the work that we did with the Bedford schools is actually just completely embedded in where our expertise is and where all of our staff have come from. We've all actually come from those particular fields. So I'll just skip the rest of the slides related to who we are, but you will have those slides at your disposal, although I'm sure you remember who we are from earlier. So I want to start with, how did we get to the strategic plan that we have before you tonight, and give you some context and really just acknowledge what we were going through, what you've been going through for the last year. So we know, and much longer, of course, because many of the external realities are things that have been in place and in some ways have been exacerbated, in some ways have gotten better, but they are things that are out of your control, but they are things that absolutely impact what you do all the time. Let's start with school funding. We've got state policies that you don't have control over. You can advocate on, but at the end of the day, it's not up to you. Federal policies, report cards where the goal line keeps changing, as do the measurements to actually reach different goals, as well as state testing, and then certainly, of course, COVID. So all of those things are the realities in which we had to do the planning for your next 3-year strategic plan. Our preferred approach as a firm is to always be in person and to be in partnership with all of our clients. That clearly was not an option. We actually started, I went back and confirmed, March 12th. So if anyone knows where they were right around that time, that was just a couple of days before everything shut down. So that was March 12th was our first day. And clearly we didn't get a chance to do all of the in-person things we would have liked to have done, because we really are more of a high touch organization. We'd like to be embedded in an organization. We would have been on site at least every couple of weeks, meeting out with people in the community, meeting, of course, with the staff and working with the staff. That just could not happen. So we did do an alternate approach. It was still high touch, just again, not exactly the way we would have wanted. And you could only be on a Zoom call for so long. It does get old for folks. So we certainly were able to achieve what we needed to achieve. It just took longer, as Superintendent Selico said. What we were able to do, and you can see here our process. So we had a variety of folks we wanted to engage. We wanted to make sure we talked to staff at the administration level. We wanted to talk to staff in buildings. We wanted to talk to community leaders. So that included, of course, interviewing all of you, as well as the city representatives, stakeholders, parents. And so we did have an opportunity to actually reach out. We reached out to everybody, but we got about 200 individuals involved in the strategic planning process, which I think is a great number. And that happened through a variety of vehicles. So we did surveys. For those who hopefully you remember seeing the survey, it was actually in your school this summer. So we actually mailed it out. It was also available online. We wanted to make sure that there were opportunities for those who perhaps were not as technologically savvy or just did not want to do it online, so that we had handwritten survey responses. We did key informant interviews. We did focus groups. So we actually met with a group of students, we met with a group of parents, we met with union leadership. So we really did try to reach out to a nice, diverse group of Bedford stakeholders in all 4 communities in your footprint. And again, as I said, we had nearly 200 people, both internally and externally, that had an opportunity to weigh in to the strategic plan. We also reviewed demographic data. So we wanted to make sure we understood the current population of the Bedford School District and of the community, and what your potential trajectory is. So as we really try to think ahead. So where are you now? Where might you be? We also reviewed all the various plans that you've been working on for the last several years. This wasn't starting from scratch. You had a strategic plan. Within that previous strategic plan, there were individual plans that different departments were doing. So there is a literacy plan. There's a professional development plan. There's a continuous improvement plan. There's a technology plan. There was a facilities assessment. There's an equity and social justice plan. So there was a lot to build upon, but we wanted to make sure that we both reviewed all of those and took a look at, in the new reality, what needs to change, what needs to be updated, what needs to be modified, what has actually been accomplished and can actually move off to the side and pay attention to it, but it's not the focal point for the next couple of years. So we took the time to actually go through those plans, and you will see elements of each of those plans woven throughout the strategic plan, but they're not at the level of detail, of course, that you would see in the actual individual, let's say, technology plan. That's where you're getting into the real details. But we wanted to make sure that those were aligned. And again, the strategic plan is organization-wide. These goals, in fact, that you'll see are about the entire organization, not a particular person, not a particular department. It's about making sure that everybody sees themselves and sees their role within each of the, every element of the strategic plan. So one other thing I wanted to bring up, and obviously you know this, you have an overarching commitment to equity. And so you will see a couple of things in this plan. You will see that we actually both thread throughout the entire plan equity and social justice, but it's also its own goal. And that was intentional because you both want to make sure that it's a part of everything you do. And then there are specific things you need to do to make sure that you are going to accomplish your goals. And so we wanted to make sure it was a both and woven throughout and having its own set of goals. So and strategies and tactics and measurements to make sure that you're achieving that. So the things that are listed here, again, you will see embedded throughout. We know that this is based in part on your equity umbrella. So your non-negotiables. And so you'll see that again, woven throughout, as well as the 4 equity cornerstones. So while we were still working on the strategic plan, the rest of the work couldn't stop. And so there's been continuous work to make sure that the equity and social justice elements of the district were continuing. And so again, you will see that embedded in the strategic plan. Finally, before I move into the specific goals, I'll talk to you about some of the findings. So as a result of the research, those nearly 200 people we engaged with, as well as the plans that we reviewed, we saw that there were a lot of opportunities, things that you can do and will move the district forward and move the community forward. And there were a lot of successes, things that you can build upon, which is fabulous. But we also know there's a lot of challenges, and these challenges were in existence before COVID, and they will of course continue to be in existence post-COVID. So we wanted to make sure that once we looked at the results of all of our research, that we actually looked at where do you really want to be in the long term, and how does this plan start to move you in that direction? And so you can see in the center there that North Star. So where do you want to be 10, 15, 20 years from now? What do you want everybody to be able to say about the Bedford School District, and whether they are Bedford parents or they are just residents of Bedford or people outside of Bedford? You want people to know that Bedford City School District is a high quality, welcoming school system that supports success for all of your students. It prioritizes your staff excellence and well-being and benefits from a robust family and community engagement. And because that is your North Star, that is where you want to be. That's what you want people to be talking about. The 4 goals for this strategic plan are about how do we start to get there, or how do we continue even to get there, again, because you're building off the successes and the work that you've already been doing. So these are the 4 strategic plan goals. Remember, last time you had 6. There are some things that are have been collapsed and included in here, and there's some new things. And these are the 4 goals for the next few years. So what I'm going to do right now is actually do very high level on the goals, some of the strategies, and then very quickly give you a couple of examples of the metrics. And then we're happy to get into any conversation you would like. I know that you have the full plan, which is a lot more detailed, but we just wanted to make sure we gave you some of the highlights. So goal 1. Goal 1 is truly of course, the whole purpose of us being here. We want to make sure that students are achieving and they have long-term success. That is what the Bedford School District wants to do. And how are you going to do that? So there are a series of strategies that we put together with the team, and that includes everything from making sure that achievement is both an internal and an external responsibility. It is not one person. It is not one department. It is not actually just the responsibility of the school district. It's the responsibility of everybody in Bedford to make sure that students have increased achievement and the best achievement they can have, as well as that long-term success all the way through school and post-high school. That's really what you want to do. So that means, again, it's got to be everyone's responsibility. Everyone needs to see themselves in this and to have a stake in it. Part of that means making sure that there are additional, new, improved professional development opportunities for staff to use state-of-the-art technology to improve student learning opportunities. That means that the community needs to be able to have access even to that state-of-the-art technology so that they feel like they're a part of the district. It's not just that building over there or those groups of folks over there. It means making sure that staff assignments are aligned with the needs of students. So using the technology and the research and the knowledge that you have to make sure that the right folks are working with the right kids at the right time, with embedded into every single thing that you're doing. We also wanted to make sure that you are offering, because you want Bedford to be a school district of choice, you want to offer what folks want to have. So if there are particular kinds of courses that folks want to have, you want to find out what are they interested in, what will lead to the success of those students, and then determine what the offerings are from there. So being even more intentional than you've already been to understand what is it that the community is interested in, what is it that we know that students need for long-term success, and making sure that those offerings are there for them. So that's goal 1. Very briefly, this is just a couple of examples of some of the metrics. There are certainly more and more detail in the plan, but we know that we will know whether or not we're achieving this goal, or you will know whether or not you're achieving this goal, based on closing the achievement gap, looking at teacher evaluations, making sure that you are doing instructional rounds forms, and there's a variety of pieces there. There's more detail that the staff is going to be doing in terms of setting annual benchmarks, but these are the categories in which the measurements will live. So now I'm going to go into goal 2. And as I mentioned before, you've already seen it in goal 1, and you'll see it in 3 and 4 as well, that this is both the equity and social justice piece that is woven throughout, but also has its own specific set of activities and strategies and tactics and measures. At the core of this goal, the way we've thought about it is, it's not just saying you believe in equity, or saying you believe in social justice, or saying that something should be culturally relevant, or that I want to eliminate equities. It's actually doing it and making sure that you know where you've done well and where you've done poorly. And so the saying, that's the first step. Got it. Now it's the doing. And that doing is in several areas, from professional development for staff to having courageous, hard community conversations, to having trainings that are available for folks in the community, and a variety of other steps like that, and then evaluating it. How will you know whether or not you're actually making a difference? Has anything changed? So asking others whether or not what you're doing is working, what they want to see that is different. And then, as importantly, sharing the results. So you'll see throughout this particular goal, as well as the metrics, that there's a lot of surveying, asking people in the community, asking students, asking staff, asking whether or not anything has changed, what are the challenges, what are the opportunities, and then being transparent and sharing that out. So that is really your continuous quality improvement. You say you want to do it, you do it, and then you want to evaluate whether or not you're doing it right and well, and then looking at that continuous quality improvement. We know this will take time, and it's going to be uncomfortable at times. It's going to be challenging, excuse me. But the key is, as we've said with everything, this is everyone's responsibility. And the only way you're going to move this goal and achieve these metrics is if everyone is involved and engaged. And it's going to cost resources. This is not something that's done overnight. It costs money. And so part of this is about leveraging funding, finding resources to make sure that you can do the appropriate evidence-based, research-based, equity-related issues and social justice-related issues and strategies. Briefly on goal 3. This is it's a big one because it's communication, but it's also community engagement. So you have heard me already say in goal 1 and 2, and you'll hear it again in goal 4, that communication is actually at one of the cornerstones, one of the key elements of making this strategic plan work and doing even better in the district. So this is about telling your own story. So yes, the report card is a piece of your story, good, bad, or otherwise. But you need to be able to tell your own story. You have a lot of successes. You have a lot of opportunities. You're doing a lot of amazing things. And one of the things we saw in the research is a lot of people don't know all the great things that are happening in the Bedford School District, and they need to know it. And you know that you're going to need the community for whatever it is that comes up in the world. And so you want to make sure that there's that two-way communication and that two-way engagement. So that is what you see in the strategies here. So in here, you'll see things like a consistent, very explicit schedule of communication. Who is talking to whom about what and when? That is a key element of this particular goal, because we want to make sure that there aren't parties that are left out, that there are people who are talked to all the time versus people who never hear from you, or don't feel like they hear from you, or haven't had an opportunity to engage. Making sure that you know who are you talking to, when are you talking to them, what are you talking about? And then providing opportunities for staff and students to engage with the district and the community. And that's everything from figuring out, are there opportunities for students to be able to volunteer in the community? Are there events that can be hosted where folks can actually have a chance to engage with students and staff in the school district. You want to also understand and capitalize on who are the organizations in your community and your footprint with whom you can partner. Again, it's that two-way communication, that two-way engagement. And that means everything from finding out whether or not there are businesses that would be willing to, for example, offer opportunities for internships or job shadowing or volunteering. So again, this particular goal is really focused on throwing the doors open to the community even more than you already do. The community really truly embracing the Bedford district and making sure that they know what you're doing, the great work that you're doing, and the challenges and where they can be helpful. This is that community engagement and that community stakeholder piece. The final goal is goal 4. So if there's a silver lining of COVID, and that's really difficult to think about, but there is at least one, which is you and pretty much everybody else had to accelerate what you were doing on technology. And so it might have taken 2 years, 3 years, 5 years to get to where you are right now. Well, it happened overnight and you did it wonderfully. You had a tech plan. So part of this is about making sure now everybody's got a computer. Do they know how to use it? Do they have access to broadband? Is it fast broadband, consistent broadband? What are all the things that you can do to make sure that that technology in which you've invested is able to be used effectively and wisely? How do we make sure that teachers have the training that they need to be able to do the instruction for students? How do we make sure students have what they need? How do we make sure that the community that was already engaging with you from a technology perspective, they get a chance to actually come in and use your state-of-the-art facilities and technology whenever it all actually opens back up again? So the focus here is, particularly in the facilities and technology element, is about making sure that we update it based on what actually happened in 2020, that we make sure that it is aligned with the equity cornerstone. So the facilities assessment and the technology plan happened before 2020. So how do we make sure that with all the work that was done in 2020, they are updated, they are aligned, and that your safety and security protocols, same thing, that they are informed by your research-based practices, but as important, they are rooted in equity and social justice. That is something else we also heard from the community. So how do we make sure that we do that? You can see again, briefly here, a couple examples of some of the metrics that we have suggested that you use. And again, the staff will get into a lot more detail on the annual benchmarks, but this will also help you understand whether or not you've moved forward on your goal. So how will you know if you're successful? One, there has to be that action plan. That's a conversation that's already started with the staff, with in-depth conversations internally to make sure that everybody knows what they're supposed to do, when they're supposed to do it. We're all communicating transparently. And this is, again, making sure this is not about silos. It's not about a department. It's about everybody. That's that collaborative implementation. There's also has to be that regular progress monitoring. So one of the pieces in the communication element is establishing a dashboard and making sure that that dashboard is both an opportunity to monitor progress, but it's also a visual and a transparency piece to say, we're moving in the right direction, or we've had to pause on this, or there's a challenge on that, but it's making sure that everybody knows what's going on and what needs to happen. And then again, that communication and that updates, that regular, transparent engagement of the community. And as importantly, internal staff. So somebody in one building doesn't know more than somebody in another building, or at least they have an opportunity to be engaged across all of the buildings, across all of the departments, and then within the administration. So those are the keys to your successful implementation. And with that, I will answer questions or go into more detail on anything. It's myself as well as Scarlett and Cassie, superintendent.
Board members, are there any questions that you have for them?
It's not as much as a question, Mrs. Patterson, is that, I'm glad that you pointed out the blessing in disguise regarding COVID with the technology aspect of it. It's something I've overlooked personally, that always looking for that silver lining, but you're entirely correct in in that assumption, and it has made a difference. I thank you for pointing that out, and all the hard work that you and your staff has done. It's a lot of work, but it's all up to us now to carry it out. So we appreciate your help in that.
Our pleasure.
Will we get a copy of, Dr. Selko, you have a copy of it?
Yes, and I hopefully it's in your board docs, but I certainly will email it to you so you have it.
Okay, yeah, okay. Any other questions?
No.
I would just like to say, oh, I'm sorry, Ms.
No, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
I look forward to looking at all the suggestions and all the, I guess, details, closely looking at the details for the communication and community engagement. I think it's lacking so much, and I just need to really look closely at what needs to be done and what part everyone has in making improving community engagement and just the community communication period. So thank you.
Mr. Stevens?
Yes. How do you pronounce your last name? Miss McClung?
McClung.
McClung. Thank you. Thank you very much for your presentation. That was very enlightening. You've put a lot of time, you and your colleagues have put a lot of time into the strategic plan, and you set things out to where it should be. And the only thing that we need to do is implement those things and put things in place and to make sure things are followed through. And like I've said before, and I don't know if I said it to you or whoever interviewed me through this process, but I truly feel that it's imperative that, yes, this all looks good on paper, but if you do not follow through, have follow-ups, and just not let it be to the wayside, those, and follow up with the strategic plans and just making sure that everything is in place, because we can have this in place, but it's going to be up to us as a staff and administration to implement it and to make sure staffing is done and training is done to make sure these things are being developed and implemented. So that is the key. That is the key right there. And we're as a staff is going to we have to make sure that we buy into it, and we basically committed to what we plan to do. That's what it's all about.
Mr. Kennedy?
Yeah, no, I agree with Mr. Stevens. I think it's a great roadmap. I think it's well thought out and in terms of the steps we need to follow. But I think the big one Mr. Stevens has hit on is you have to have buy-in to it, from us to staff to community to everybody. So I think the buy-in is the big thing. And again, I think it pointed out resources we might need, but it's you gave us the roadmap. We got to walk it. So it was very good. Thank you.
Yes. My question, I guess a question is, did you also put in there how we can get there step by step? Because I think that's what they're all talking about too. But, I know Dr. Sellico has her idea, but did you give some examples and some suggestions about how we can get to that point, to goal 1, how we can get to goal 2, things that we need to do?
Yes, President Patterson, we did. So we actually spent some time with the staff before the holidays, starting to develop what that should look like, asking the questions and starting to fill out what will be an internal document. It's that step-by-step piece. So we did start that process. And now I think each goal area will continue to delve in more deeply on those elements.
Okay. And will you still be available to assist and direct the staff and help Dr. Sellico to move it along?
We are available, and anytime anybody would like to chat with us, I will leave it to Superintendent Selico on more than that.
Okay, I just asked it. Thank you. Thank you again for you and your staff. You did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Mrs. Patterson, and thank you, Lori and your team. We've had lots of conversations. I will say, from our previous experience to our current experience, it's been night and day. So these ladies have kept me honest and made sure that they were in contact with me on a regular basis, and I was answering their questions and looking at drafts and working and reworking. And so I do appreciate, and Lori, you did an outstanding job in your presentation, so thank you. And we look forward to the work. We've already talked about, we had a progress monitoring tool that we used the last time. We probably will tweak it a little bit, but it does do exactly what you all were talking about and referring to as action steps, is how I refer to it. And we will develop all those. We already have many formed, and we will follow those. And we have an accountability system in place already that worked well for us, which was monthly meetings. And then as the plan goes on, it turns into quarterly meetings, but we all stay accountable to goals, and every staff, we have administrators that are assigned to different goal areas that I will hold accountable. And so that's how we plan to work. And Lori is not off the hook. She will continue to work with us. And that's one of the things that I've appreciated in the difference of our last experience, is the follow through, and that I know I can depend on her and her team if I need to pick up the phone and call them. So thank you for that.
Very good. Okay, thank you. Okay, Dr. Selico, you have something else for us?
Actually, the next thing, I'm going to turn it back over to you, Mrs. Patterson. We have 4 items for your consideration. And do you have them there? I know we didn't pull them up on the screen.
Pull them up.
Okay. Dan, can you do that for us, please? Or I can. I have it accessible here if you don't. Yep, I got it. Yep. Okay. You see it there, everybody? I can blow it up.
Blow it up a little bit.
I knew you were gonna ask that, and I always trip up because I go back and forth between computers. Yes, it worked. Okay. Mrs. Patterson, is that good?
Yes.
All righty, there you go.
Okay, board, 3.01, the municipal income tax revenue sharing agreement. 3.02 is the municipal income tax revenue sharing agreement, and 3.3, fourth amendment to the purchase agreement related to Aurora School property, and 304 is policy 8600. I need to have a motion. Do you want to take them all together, or you want to go one by one? Do you need some explanation?
Mrs. Patterson, if you can go individually.
Okay. All right.
Thank you.
I need a motion for 3.01 municipal income tax revenue sharing agreement. Mr. Parkinson, if you have some questions, we have to direct them to either Mr. Zagrabic or Mr. Parkinson.
So moved.
Okay. It's been properly moved by Mr. Tench, second by
Eva.
by Mr. Kennedy.
That's fine.
Okay. Roll call, please. There's no questions. Hearing none, roll call, please.
Well, Kennedy has Tinch has a question, Patterson.
Mr. Tench, you have a question?
Yeah, just a brief synopsis from Bill. I believe this is what we went over our last board meeting. Am I correct?
Yes, Mr. Tench, it is. This is the income tax piece that the mayor of Oakwood corrected from 10 years to 15.
Right.
I reviewed that with Mr. Conzer and Mr. Brussert.
Okay. Thank you.
They were both, yes.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Tench?
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy?
Aye.
Stevens?
Did you say Stevens?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry, Mr. Stevens.
Okay, aye.
Mrs. Boynton?
Aye.
And Mrs. Patterson?
Aye. 5-0 board, thank you. 3.02 municipal income tax revenue sharing agreement again. I need a motion for 3.02.
Bill Stevens.
Mr. Stevens, Okay, second.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Boynton, questions? Questions will be directed to Mr. Parkinson. Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Stevens,
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton,
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy,
Aye.
Mr. Tench,
Aye.
Mrs. Patterson.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you, board. 3.03, Fourth Amendment of the Purchasing Agreement related to Aurora School. I need a motion.
So move.
Moved by
Second.
second by Mr. Kennedy. Any questions need to be directed to Mr. Parkinson? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Tench,
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy,
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton,
Aye.
Mr. Stevens,
Aye.
Mrs. Patterson.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you, board. Moving right along, 3.04, policy 8600. I need a motion.
Bill Stevens.
Mr. Stevens, second, please.
Second.
Bob Kennedy.
Mr. Kennedy, questions? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Stevens,
Aye.
Mr. Kennedy,
Aye.
Mr. Tench,
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton,
Aye.
and Mrs. Patterson.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you, board. Dr. Selico has no report. At this time, I move for adjournment.
Second.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Kennedy. Second by who? Mr.
Mr.
Tench.
Tench. Yes, ma'am.
Questions? I'd like to thank Mrs. Klum and her staff again, Dr. Selico, and I thank Mr. Parkinson for all the work he's done on. It's taken some time, but we've gotten there. We're there, at least with Oakwood. So I thank you and appreciate your hard work and having to go to your consultants and got the right answers so that we were not stuck in the mud, as I would call it. So thank you. I do appreciate, and I know the board does appreciate all your hard work, Mr. Parkinson. I mean, you've been on the job a short time, but you've been mighty, 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 and I appreciate that. And
I
Mrs.
very much appreciate that. Thank you, Mrs. Patterson.
You're welcome. Mrs. Klump, thank you again for your hard work with with everybody. And I just hope that we can carry out this in a timely manner, very easily. And I hope we have good buy-in from all the staff and all the community. Thank you. Dr. Selico, anything else?
No, that's it. The only thing I did want to mention one thing, just so you all are aware, you'll get this in your report tomorrow, but I want you to mark it on your calendars if you're available. We are having that grand opening for the community resource room, and that's going to be on the 27th, which is next Wednesday at 4:00 at the high school. It's in room C165. And we're limiting it to a very small number due to the COVID restrictions. But we've invited some city officials, mayors, and the people who have been responsible for helping us with this. And we will be opening it to our community very soon. So again, that's next Wednesday at 4:00, and you'll have the details tomorrow. Thank you.
Anything else, board members? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Mr. Kennedy,
Aye.
Mr. Tench,
Aye.
Mr. Stevens,
Aye.
Mrs. Boynton,
Aye.
and Mrs. Patterson.
Aye. 5-0. Thank you, board, and have a good evening.
Stay healthy, everyone.
You too.
Yes.
Take care.
All right. Bye.